everyone. We are back out here at Interstate Raceway for the final Drifting the Plains points event, Drifting the Plains 4. Not too bad for run one of session one. We got out there a little bit late, so that's probably going to be the one run that I'll do. It's basically the end of the session, which is okay. We got to eat some lunch real quick. I kind of rushed to get through tech and get out on the track for at least one lap just to kind of feel it out. Wasn't too bad. These tires are a little bit looser than I'm normally used to, but yeah, it felt pretty good. So these Nittos are not taking heat as well as like the Acceleras or some of the other tires that I run, so I'll just have to monitor them a little bit closer. But I do notice as you get farther into the lap, they do grip up quite a bit. I don't know if that's a combination of having these tires sit in the garage for the last year not being used, or if it's just the compound that Nitto has where it takes a bit to get them softened up and really bite. But yeah, they started to feel a little bit better at the end of that run. I got to get used to them. It's not like a tire I normally use. It's just a practice tire. Later tonight I'll probably throw on the 651 extras, the Acceleras, and kind of get those heat cycled a little bit before the end of the day, just so they can cool down for tomorrow, and then hopefully they last a little bit longer. Too. Did it? Yeah. Give it a good, it's like it's missing.
Yep. It's getting hot. Yep.
Alright, so the engine is really hot right now. So we're trying to be really careful, wearing our gloves still. Just looking at the plugs themselves, there's a little bit of brown coloring on them. Which I'm guessing the spark plugs are just getting really hot and it smells kind of funny in there. The Misfire, I'm hoping, is just a spark plug issue. I've ran the same spark plugs in it all season so far. So we're gonna take them out real quick and take a quick peek. So far the spark plugs aren't really tight in here, which is kind of strange. Which, I mean, it is very hot, so the threads are expanded a little bit. We just need to be really careful so we don't wreck the threads because they are hot. We'll pull out cylinder 4 first here. Typically cylinder 4 gets the hottest, but I do have a coolant reroute, so it shouldn't be real bad. I mean, they do look a little bit white, but the threads have a little bit of like moisture or something on it. If it's gas, I don't know. But it doesn't look super bad. Maybe it's just getting really hot. But if you look at the top of the plug here where the nut is, it is brown. So that means it's getting enough fuel. But maybe it is time to just throw some spark plugs in it just to be safe. A little bit of arcing out right there maybe. That one looks pretty carboned up, but it's more of a brown color. You want to see a little bit more brown color. That means it's burning not rich and not lean. It's about right where you want it. So maybe cylinder 4 is actually burning a lot hotter than the rest of the cylinders. That one looks about the same as cylinder 3. I mean, the strap is not colored the same as the center of the spark plug, but it doesn't look super concerning to me. Last cylinder, cylinder 1. Again, it's got a nice brownish color to it. I think cylinder 1 is fine as well. Which leads me to believe cylinder 4 is maybe running a little bit lean. This has some weird spotting on that brown ring and this one too. It might be a safe option to just replace all the plugs and see what it does. All right, I pulled the timing light out as well. We're just gonna check all the bases here, give it a quick check, just to make sure it didn't like jump a tooth or something stupid. I've had this belt in it, the timing belt inside, for quite a while. It should be fine, but why not check it? It's easy enough to do. All right. Probably really hard to see that, but all right. Probably really hard to see that, but base timing is fine. It's where it's supposed to be. So at least that checks a box. Just checking all my timing stuff, all the plugs in here. Make sure everything is still snug and where it's supposed to be. That's my EFR plug, or EGR plug. I don't need that in there. All the injectors are still plugged in right. I might just toss these plugs in real quick in a different order. Maybe put 4 up at 1 and just alternate them through, and just start it and see if letting it sit for a little while kind of cooled it off. Maybe the ECU was kind of tripping it out. Yeah, we're just kind of in a troubleshooting mode right now. I put these spark plugs back in a different order just to see if it makes a difference. We'll turn it over real quick and see if it still misfires. Maybe it is just hot. I'm hoping that it was just hot. Yeah, it's still got the misfire. Like it's struggling, but it sounds, hopefully I didn't kill a valve. Like there's some exhaust coming out of like where the manifold is. Otherwise it's out of the downpipe a little bit. Really hard to tell. Yeah, it feels like it's out of the downpipe down here. We'll shut it down. So I see something different. So I just had this downpipe out, and that header wrap is shot, but this whole flange right here is cracked all the way here. So I'm wondering if the AFR gauge is tripping out the Mega Squirt Plug and Play 2 to thinking it's leaning out, so it's putting it into a safety, because that's a lot of exhaust leaking out right here. But that, I don't know if you can see it right here, that's a huge crack in that downpipe. So I'll have to let this cool down and pull it out, and luckily I brought my gasless flux core welder, and we will weld that back on there, and hopefully it's not too bad. I'll maybe take off the rest of this heat wrap here and just look at all of it, make sure it's not cracked anywhere else, because that could be throwing off my AFRs. And then there's a percentage of correction that the ECU will throw at the car because it thinks it's either rich or lean. It either pulls fuel or adds fuel. So it's probably trying to add fuel right now, and it's going into a safety limp mode because it's reading really, really lean. So that's a whole different, like a whole different story. I'll still do the spark plugs just because it's easy enough. We'll drive into town, give it time for it to cool off, and then I can pull the downpipe back out, and I'll have to weld that up. We made it to O'Reilly's to get some spark plugs real quick. I did notice that there is the crack on the downpipe. That might be throwing off AFRs, which might be putting the ECU into a safety, but we're still taking a break from the heat, sitting in some AC, and then we're gonna go get something to eat real quick. Probably won't drive the rest of the night tonight. It's already 5 o'clock. The track is hot until 7, so maybe I can get it at least running tonight, and hopefully it'll be good for tomorrow, but we'll wait and see. They locked me out. All right, I didn't just get spark plugs. I got a quart of oil for the Miata as well, because I didn't have any at home, and then some trans fluid for the truck. But there's the spark plugs. All right, we're gonna take this downpipe off and get this thing welded. All right, so quick little update here. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it. The lighting is kind of poo-poo here. There's a crack basically 3/4 of the way around this elbow of the downpipe. So I'm gonna clean it up and lay some weld on it real quick. Don't really have much for like a welding table here. I don't want to use our picnic table and potentially damage that. So I'm just going to set it right up on top of the jack here as just a makeshift little weld table. Alright, this material is so thin, it's just like blasting holes in it. So I just got to be really careful. I'll probably end up welding the inside too. I'm going to end up rebuilding probably this whole top portion of this downpipe anyways. It is not ideal for what I'm doing. I don't want to have to repair it all the time. So again, all I had to do was seal up the cracks in hopes that the AFR gauge will read properly, and that all the Misfire is just a safety on the ECU. Quick little update before I try and start it. The downpipe is back in. I welded it, and the new plugs are in. I gaffed them to 26 thousandths to hopefully not have the boost blow away spark. These are the old ones, pretty cooked. So yeah, we'll try turning the key over. On cylinder 4 because that was the one that looked the worst. There's plenty of spark coming off the coil pack itself. It was arcing out to the steel bracket. I might just pull the plug wire and see if it's actually going through the plug wire itself. Maybe the plug wire isn't sending enough electricity through. Alright, sorry for the lighting. That's all I got. It is starting to get a little dark out here. I'm just trying to diagnose a little bit of what's going on with cylinder 4, because I've determined it is something with cylinder 4. You probably won't be able to see down in here. If you can, I would be surprised. But I can see down there, and there's actually like gasoline sitting on top of the piston. Yeah, there's a little bit of a reflection there down in the hole, if you can maybe see it. I'm moving the flashlight just enough. So it's not actually igniting the fuel in the cylinder, which I don't know why. I got new spark plugs in there. It could be something with the coil pack, but then again, I pulled the spark plug wire off of the coil pack and it was arcing to the steel bracket that it's mounted to, and I also pulled the plug off of the spark plug itself and it didn't make a change. It was sparking inside the cylinder head, so it's not that it's not getting spark, something else is going on, whether it's maybe an injector is sticking open a little bit. Otherwise there's not enough compression to actually ignite it that way. There's not really a way to test that right now. I don't have a compression tester. Even if I did, I don't know that I would want to know the number. But yeah, we're probably gonna wrap it up for tonight. There's a lot of bugs out here. We'll go at it again in the morning and see if we can figure something else out.